My name is Emma, and I am 36 years old. I live with my daughter, Lily, who is 16. We used to be so close. Lily was my everything, and I truly believed I was hers too. She was always so cheerful and loving. Every afternoon, she'd run to me after school, her face bright with excitement as she shared stories about her day. We'd laugh together over dinner, watch movies on the weekends, and talk for hours. I remember how she used to look at me with so much love in her eyes, calling me the best mom in the world. Now, everything feels different. She barely speaks to me, avoids me, and refuses to answer my questions. She won't even sit down to have dinner with me anymore. When I try to talk to her, she looks at me like I'm a stranger. I don't know what I've done wrong. I've worked so hard to give her a good life, but it feels like everything I've done has only pushed her away. I miss her so much, the way we used to be. At first, it started small. Lily seemed tired or distracted when I asked her about her day. She'd mumble something vague and head straight to her room. I thought it might just be school stress or the typical mood swings that come with being a teenager. But it didn't stop there. It got worse. She started skipping meals, claiming she wasn't hungry, even when I knew she hadn't eaten all day. When I knocked on her door to check on her, she would yell at me to leave her alone. One afternoon, I saw her sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone. I thought it might be a chance to connect. I sat beside her and asked if she wanted to watch a movie together. She didn't even look up, just flatly said, "No." I tried again, gently asking if something was bothering her and letting her know she could talk to me. Finally, she put her phone down and looked at me, but her eyes were filled with anger. "Why do you always act like you care?" she snapped. "You don't." Her words cut deep. I managed to say, "Of course I care, Lily. I love you." But she shook her head, got up, and walked away without another word. I sat there, stunned and heartbroken, wondering what I had done to make her so upset with me. I decided to do something special for her, hoping it might bridge the gap between us. I spent hours cooking her favorite dinner, lasagna, and even went out to buy her favorite dessert, a chocolate cake from the bakery she loved. When she came home, I greeted her with a smile and said, "I made lasagna for dinner, your favorite." She glanced at the table with no expression and muttered, "I'm not hungry," before heading toward her room. "Lily, wait," I called after her, desperation creeping into my voice. "I just wanted us to have a nice evening together. Can't we talk?" She stopped and turned around, her face filled with frustration. "Why do you keep pretending, Mom? You think making dinner will fix everything," she said, her voice rising. I felt a wave of confusion. "What do you mean?" "I'm trying to make things better," I replied. She laughed bitterly, shaking her head. "You can't fix things by making dinner. You can't change what you've done." Her words hit me like a punch to the stomach. My voice trembled as I asked, "What I've done? What are you talking about?" Her eyes flashed with anger. "You know exactly what I mean. Stop acting like you don't," she snapped before storming off to her room and slamming the door. I stood there, frozen, my heart pounding. I couldn't understand what she meant. What did she think I had done? The next day, while Lily was at school, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Curious and uneasy, I opened it. The message read, "Emma, does your daughter know the truth? Maybe it's time she learned." My heart began to race. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen, the words sinking into me like stones. Who was this? What truth were they talking about? I deleted the message, hoping to push it out of my mind, but the words lingered, haunting me for the rest of the day. That evening, as I was folding laundry, my phone rang. The caller ID showed it was the same unknown number. My stomach dropped as I hesitated, but eventually answered. "Hellos," I said cautiously. The voice on the other end was one I hadn't heard in years. "It's me, Jason," my ex-husband said. My breath caught in my throat. I hadn't spoken to him in so long. "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, but the tension in my chest was unbearable. His tone was cold and sharp. "You can't hide forever, Emma. Lily will find out. She deserves to know who you really are." His words sent a chill through me. My hand tightened around the phone as I whispered, "Leave us alone. I've changed." But his words stayed with me long after I hung up, and I couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to fall apart. Jason's bitter laughter rang through the phone, sharp and unforgiving. "You think you can just erase the past," he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "Lily will hate you just as much as I do." Then the line went dead. For a moment, I just stood there, clutching the phone as if it were my lifeline. My chest heaved as I fought to breathe, my emotions unraveling. Tears welled up, blurring my vision. His words echoed in my mind like a haunting refrain. "She deserves to know who you really are." I tried to focus on the laundry in my hands, but my thoughts were a storm I couldn't escape. How much did Lily know? Was this why she had been so angry, so distant? My carefully buried past, the mistakes I thought I could leave behind, was now clawing its way to the surface, threatening to ruin everything. That evening, the tension in the house was suffocating. At the dinner table, Lily sat across from me, her fork untouched, her plate as full as when I had set it down. Her sharp gaze bore into me, and her silence felt heavier than any argument we had ever had. I couldn't stand it any longer. "Lily," I said, my voice tentative, "is something wrong?" Her fork clattered loudly against the plate as she slammed it down, the sound jolting me. Her voice trembled as she said, "How could you lie to me?" I froze, my pulse quickening. "What are you talking about?" I asked, though dread was already settling in my stomach. "Don't act like you don't know," she shouted, her voice cracking under the weight of her emotions. "Dad told me everything. You cheated on him, didn't you? Not just once, but over and over. You've destroyed our family." Her words hit me like a physical blow. My breath caught in my throat. "Lily, You destroyed everything," she interrupted, her tears now falling freely. "You were supposed to love us, to be there for us. But all you cared about was yourself. How could you?" I opened my mouth to respond, but the weight of her accusations rendered me speechless. My mind raced as memories of my past sins rushed forward, unbidden and merciless. Jason must have told her everything. The nights I didn't come home, the arguments, the times he caught me with someone else. It was all out now. "I made mistakes," I finally said, my voice trembling. "I was selfish and reckless. I'm not proud of what I did, Lily." "You're disgusting," she spat, pushing her chair back and standing up. "I don't even know who you are anymore." "Lily, please," I pleaded, reaching out to her, but she took a step back, her expression filled with hurt and betrayal. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this," she said, her voice breaking. Then she turned and stormed out of the room, slamming her bedroom door behind her. I sat at the table, staring at the untouched meal in front of me, guilt and shame swirling in my chest. My past had already destroyed my marriage. Now, it was ripping apart my relationship with my daughter, the one person I loved more than anything in the world. Later that night, I retreated to my bedroom, shutting the door behind me. Tears streamed down my face as I sat on the edge of my bed, the weight of my mistakes crushing me. I had been selfish, reckless, and blind to the consequences of my actions. Jason had begged me to stop, to think about our family, but I hadn't listened. I thought I could have it all, but instead, I had lost everything. And now, my choices were hurting Lily in ways I had never imagined. The next morning, with a heavy heart, I stood outside her bedroom door. I raised my hand and knocked softly. "Lily," I called out, my voice trembling. "Can we talk?" There was a long pause before the door opened just a crack. Her face appeared, pale and tired, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "What do you want?" she asked, her tone cold and guarded. "I want to tell you everything," I said. "You deserve to know the truth." She hesitated, her eyes searching mine for a moment. Then she opened the door a little wider. "Fine," she said, crossing her arms. "But this better not be another lie." I stepped inside, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. My hands trembled as I sat on the edge of her bed, trying to gather the courage to speak. I took a deep breath and began to tell her everything. I didn't sugarcoat it or try to shift the blame. I told her the truth about my past, about how I had hurt her father and made choices that I regretted every single day. "I was wrong, Lily," I said, my voice breaking. "I broke my promises. I broke our family. But I love you more than anything, and I want to make this right." For a moment, she was silent, her expression unreadable. Then her voice cracked as she asked, "Why didn't you tell me before?" "I was scared," I admitted. "I was afraid you'd hate me, and I didn't know how to face that. But hiding it only made everything worse." "I'm so sorry, Lily." Her eyes filled with tears again, and the pain in her gaze was like a knife to my heart. "I don't know if I can forgive you," she whispered. "I understand," I said softly, fighting back my own tears. "But I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn your trust." She stared at me for a long moment before finally nodding, just barely. "Maybe one day," she said quietly. I reached out and pulled her into a hug, relief and hope washing over me as she let me hold her. It wasn't perfect, and it wouldn't be easy, but it was a start. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Beyond the Surface.